there we go. I suppose when you're 20 odd down, you're going to try anything.
Yeah, the Hull capitalised on everything. London made a lot of mistakes in that half, from that sort of mistake where they were pushing things that weren't on to just being well out of position defensively. And Hull capitalised on all of that stuff, didn't they, in that first half? Was there any star players for you?
I think Jamie Shaw had a good game, actually. He sort of came in well. He dictated bits of play. He ran some good support lines. So I think he probably stood out for FC. I think, as they called out on Sky, Steek had a bye for his work. He did do well, although defensively he was still 2 tries going forward. But defensively, I think he's still a bit of a liability. He just doesn't get. He's not a prop or second row, as he was forced into this, that is necessarily built for playing now. I think he was perhaps someone that he was produced for 15 years ago, and with the limited interchange, he's going to be one that suffers as a result of that. Yeah, that was it really, I think, in terms of standout for that game.
The problem is, isn't it, that you get overwhelmed by both teams had an appalling half, so every bit of praise you're giving to somebody who's getting qualified with how poor they were. I think Chris Green and Brad Fash were okay off the bench. I still like what Westerman's doing this year, and I think you can't fail to be impressed with the work rate of people like Pitts and Yates in that Broncos side. And Faremo came out top on the stats, didn't he, from this game? So
yeah,
there were some other names that were floating around whilst I was watching this one.
Right, shall we move on?
Friday night.
Yeah, well, there's a surprise. So the second game of the weekend, Huddersfield against Catalan, where it finished Huddersfield 28, Catalans 32, having been 12-22 at half-time, in front of a whopping 4,383, refereed by Mr. Gregory Dolan. In terms of the stats, it was an 8-2 penalty count against them and a 1% worse team tackle success, as well as 2 fewer breaks. Some stats would say Catalan should have lost this game. Narrow wins on metres and average game helped them to win it. In terms of the winning Catalan side, Sam Tompkins with 3 tries, 2 try assists, 7 tackle busts. David Mead, 1 try assist, 7 tackle busts, 219 metres. Benjamin Garcia, 40 tackles and 109 metres. And Arthur Romano running for 119 metres. Losing Huddersfield's side, the Cowbell didn't shut up all night, had 476 strikes, 460 of them completely needless. Jeremy McGilvray making 6 tackle busts, 155 metres. Paul Clough, 1 try assist, 108 metres. Cruz Leeming, 42 tackles. And Louis Senior running for 117 metres. And we got just the 2 fan views on this.
Yes, Alan Walker said, should have stuffed him, but second half switch off, struck again and only just held on. Smith played well again, and Tompkins... Smith didn't play, that was his joke, right? Okay, I'm with it. And Tompkins had a half decent game at last. Hope we got rid of both of them at the end, if not before. Gigo starred with Jody B and Mickey Mack. Good to see a massive crowd, as there wasn't any RL on tonight. Fucking joke.
And Malcolm Matias said, half-time team talk, Karma's stupid coach Steve seals the deal. We've got a pause in there somewhere. As the mostest motivator, not. Dragons burn off hapless giants, not. Dragons improve points difference against weak opposition, not. Massive squad slaughters small town team, not. Far town team, surely. This needs to really start bashing, dominating. Sorry, this team needs to start really bashing, dominating and beating teams. Hashtag time to stand up. Not sure you can use that hashtag.
Well, just so people are aware, hashtags on the game reviews doesn't actually drive any sort of social media content at all. But yeah, what did you make of what you've seen of this one? Because Sam Tompkins jumps out as the...
That was all I had in my notes was the Sam Tompkins show. Jumping, leaping, running around the back, doing what you'd expect they're paying him for. And that was as much as came out. Obviously, it does look like they put a bit of a shift in as well. They got some good tackling numbers and did well to get that. So, but it was not a game that sort of was lingering long in my memory. Not one I'm going to be able to tell you much about by this time next week, I suspect.
One thing that struck me, I don't know if you picked out any highlight moments. I sort of think the build-up play for both Jody Broughton tries was quite good, and then at that point, on the hour mark, it was 32-12 and the game was gone, wasn't it? And then Jody Broughton got injured, things got moved around, and you started to see some defensive shockers from Catalans. I mean, that Lee Gaskell try, how he was allowed that to get around the outside of the defence and score that one was a farce. But I think that side was interrupted, wasn't it, by that Jody Broughton injury. And I also think we talked about how sad we are about Broughton getting injured. Maybe some of his teammates would feel that for him as well, because they're around him all the time. They'll have watched him rehab to get back into shape, to get back into this team, go out on loan to the Championship on dual reg.
And I bet he's the kind of guy that's hanging around the changing rooms, geeing everybody up, even when he's not playing. He'll be sat there, he'll be mixing the drinks, getting the jelly babies out, doing whatever he can to help the team. I don't know from personal experience, but I bet you that's the kind of guy he is.
You always see him on like the Sky games, like knocking around the even when he's been injured, don't you? You see him in the stands or by the side of the pitch or water carrying and that sort of stuff. So I agree, that's the impression I get. So I think, not to say that one injury should lead to a meltdown that led to Kenny Edwards getting the sin bin for dissent against his likely future employers. So a 2-game ban actually for Kenny Edwards for that dissent. I mean, the moral vacuum has hoovered away some more credibility there.
Yeah.
But have you seen the highlight of the last play?
I'm not sure if it was on the. Was it on the? I can't remember it. I remember watching the highlights, but I don't think I saw this bit.
So the last play. Basically, the Giants were very close to winning it. They had one of the seniors and someone else chasing the ball into the corner, and the two Huddersfield players were up against kind of two covering back Catalans players, and they just couldn't take the ball in. It was agonising. They just couldn't get neither of the Huddersfield players could get both hands on the ball, so they both knocked it on, and the game was over, and Willie Army chucked it dead and the hooter went. But they put it in the balance for themselves, the Catalans Dragons, in this one. When early doors, it just looked like Sam Tompkins could do whatever he wanted. He had a hand in everything pretty much. If he wasn't scoring the tries, he was setting them up. He set up Willie Army's, he set up Broughton's first try as well at the start of the second half, as well as scoring his hat-trick. So like Alan said, he had, I mean, a half-decent game. He had a much better than fucking half-decent game. He won them the game. But, interesting stuff there on that game. I was following it thinking, oh, crap, Catalans are going to eat into the points difference here. So they're going to go ahead of us on points scored, and points difference is going to be sorted out. But Huddersfield made sure that points difference didn't get sorted out, even if they couldn't quite snag the win that I was rooting on them to do at the end.
Yeah, so moving on, also on Friday night, surprisingly. This one was on Sky, however, and allegedly one of the most watched Sky games of the year.
The most watched Sky game since Magic Weekend, so the most watched Sky game in the last 6 rounds of Super League.
There we go. So I would say it was a good decision by whoever put it on Sky. It was Leeds 16.
Because you could watch it.
Exactly. with the sound turned down in the first half anyway, and then Heather went to bed, so I was able to watch the rest of it. Leeds 16, Hull KR 32, having been 8-14 to the team from Hull in the first half, in front of 13,679, and Mr. Robert Hicks was your referee. In terms of team tackle success, in terms of team stats, A 17-8 error count was a big negative to the Leeds side that were well beaten by the Robins in metres, 207 more for KR, and breaks 5 more for the Robins as well. In terms of the winners, the Hull KR side taking those vital 2 points. Mitch Garbutt making 192 metres. Ben Crooks, 5 tackle busts, 120 metres. Joel Tompkins running for 110 metres. Kane Lynette, the beautiful, beautiful man, almost as beautiful as Craig Hall, but not quite. 2 tries, 110 metres. We had a long debate in the first half about Craig Hall, around just how beautiful he really is, and whether it was the debate was him or Leon Smith, the Britain's Davis Cup captain, who was going to win.
Both very skinny.
I think we settled on Craig Hall in the end. That was my interpretation of the conversation, anyway.
I mean, you think Kane Linnet's beautiful, so I'm not taking your opinions on these things to great high esteem.
Well, he's beautiful when he's scoring those sorts of tries. In terms of the losing Leeds Winos, it was Trent Merrin making 44 tackles, 11 of them from marker, 124 metres, 3 offloads, and a lot of gobbing off to the referee. Jack Walker, 8 tackle busts, 134 metres. Conrad Hurrell, 1 try, 115 metres. And Ash Handley running for 119 metres, making 3 offloads. And we had some fan views about this.
Yes, Carsten said the tackling machine Jimmy Kay is back and even got a try assist. The goal, he was involved in a few of the highlights I saw. The goal kicking in this game was as shit as it was in the 17 at least. Players deemed not good enough, showed their old club the mistake of their recruiting, and Leeds are shit in crisis or in relegation battle again. On a serious note, Leeds with way too many penalties and a short restart isn't always a good idea. # Jimmy Watch.
Yeah. Malcolm Mateos. Why am I getting all of his? No Super League schedule fuck up then karma. Shame there was only a Spoonerpalooza game to show on the telly then. Great. Every RL fan really just wants to have strawberries and cream, stupid rich kids in go-karts, cricket, netball, Newmarket and shopping instead of Rugby League over the weekend. Shit game, by the way. # undercard mentality karma. Well, I think with the cricket, it probably it might have been proved right. Not
genuinely,
trying to
I had no fucking clue about any single Rugby League result until I started to put work on the rundown at about 9:30 last night, because I was absorbed by the cricket for massive parts of the day, and certainly from the start of the England innings through to the end of the through to the end of the Super Over after the England innings. So I had no idea what had happened in the Rugby League yesterday at all. So I wasn't. There you go. So that's me, and I'm as big a Rugby League fan as anyone out there knows.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not paying attention, then the rest of us get a pass then, don't we?
Yeah. It's almost like an England game being played and Brian Davies not being there, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Neil McEwen said, and actually, if this game was as well viewed as certain tweets suggested, then maybe it was the right call. I think probably the build-up about it being a controversial decision to put this on over the Wigan Saints game, or the Saints-Wigan game, should I say, maybe helped give it more exposure as well. It got the conversation out there more. And given that actually you had these other 4 games going on, and one of them was very well attended, and 2 of them were not so well attended, and one of them was reasonably well attended, but given you had all that going on, and still the viewing figures, that kind of actually weakens this argument that a lot of us have been making recently about how having too many games on a Friday night means that so much of your potential audience is elsewhere watching other games of Rugby League. Well, yes, I still think there's some merit in that, but this kind of pushes that argument down a bit, doesn't it? Because if you can hype up an event enough, if you can get enough chat about it, people will still watch it. And still attend quite well 2 of the other games on this night. Now, and also it weakens one of my big